Hey guys, tonight we're stepping back in time, way back, to a life of constant motion, where your entire world could be packed up and moved overnight. Imagine waking up not to the comforting stability of a permanent home, but to the rustle of canvas and the lowing of animals, knowing that by sunset, everything you own, every stick and stone, will be miles away. You're not just moving house, you're moving an entire village, every person, every animal, every pot and pan. It's a truly astonishing feat of logistics and communal effort, something that would probably make your modern moving day look like a delightful stroll in the park. You, with your ergonomic office chair and Wi-Fi, would probably not survive the first week. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're feeling up to it, let me know where you're listening from in the comments and what time it is for you right now. It's always fascinating to see how far these sleepy stories travel. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You open your eyes, not to an alarm, but to the soft, rhythmic sounds of a camp stirring to life before dawn. The air is cool, carrying the scent of wood smoke and damp earth. You rub the sleep from your eyes, your body already anticipating the day's work. Around you, the village is a hive of quiet activity, a symphony of purpose. Your yurt, or perhaps your tent, a simple structure of felt or hide stretched over a wooden frame, already feels different. The pegs are being loosened, the ropes coiled. You can hear the murmur of voices, hushed and low, not wanting to disturb the final moments of sleep for those still lingering. The children, perhaps, or the very old. This isn't a leisurely morning. There's a palpable sense of urgency, yet it's not frantic. It's a practiced efficiency, honed over generations. You know your role, instinctively. Every member of the tribe, from the smallest child who can carry a light bundle to the strongest elder guiding the pack animals, has a part to play. Historians still argue whether the earliest nomadic movements were driven purely by resource scarcity or by a desire for exploration. But for you, right now, it's just life. You're part of a grand, unfolding tradition. You slide out from under your thick blankets, feeling the cool ground beneath your feet. Your breath fogs in the crisp morning air. You notice your neighbor, already dismantling the outer layer of their dwelling, their movements fluid and economical. No wasted effort. It's almost like a slow-motion dance, a silent choreography. You think about your ancestors, who for millennia perfected this delicate art of existence, a life lived in constant harmony with the land's shifting bounty. It's a mainstream historical fact that nomadic peoples have inhabited almost every continent, adapting to environments from icy tundras to scorching deserts. But a quirky tidbit? Some nomadic groups even developed complex calendars based on animal migratory patterns, essentially letting the herds tell them when it was time to pack up. Imagine your alarm clock being a flock of birds. Talk about organic. The first rays of sunlight are just beginning to paint the eastern sky, soft oranges and purples bleeding into the deep indigo of night. It's a beautiful sight, but also a signal. Time is moving, and soon, so will you. The first task is always the dwelling. You move towards your yurt, the circular shape of familiar comfort. The main structural elements, the wooden lattice walls and roof poles, are surprisingly light, yet incredibly strong. You begin by untying the interior furnishings, the felt rugs, the woven tapestries that served as insulation and decoration, the small wooden chests holding your family's most treasured possessions. Everything has its place, a designated spot for easy packing and unpacking. It's a testament to ancient design principles. These structures were the original flat pack furniture, except infinitely more robust. You can practically hear the IKEA instructions in your head. Step 1. Disassemble the entire living space you've known for weeks. But there are no cryptic pictograms here, just instinct and inherited knowledge. You work with your family, a silent choreography. Your younger cousin, nimble and quick, climbs to the top of the yurt to help unfasten the smoke hole cover. This central opening, which allowed smoke from the cooking fire to escape, will be one of the last things to be removed after the morning's quick meal. The layers of felt insulation are carefully peeled back, exposing the wooden framework beneath. Each piece is designed to fit snugly with its neighbor, a complex puzzle that, once solved, collapses into manageable bundles. You've done this countless times. Each knot, each tie, feels familiar under your fingers. It's strangely meditative, the rhythmic movements a form of muscle memory. Think about your own home. How long would it take you to pack up everything you own? Your couch, your bed, your kitchen table, your entire wardrobe? Now imagine doing it all without a moving truck, just with what you can carry or what your animals can bear. This is the reality. Every item has to be considered for its necessity and its portability. There's no room for excess. That dusty old lamp you've been meaning to throw out? Not a chance it's coming. This lifestyle naturally fosters a minimalist approach to possessions. You only keep what serves a purpose, what can be easily transported. Historians still argue whether early nomadic societies practiced truly egalitarian distribution of wealth, but it's clear that material possessions were often minimized for practical reasons. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic groups would even dismantle their entire dwelling, transport it, and rebuild it so quickly that a traveler passing by might not even realize a village had been there just hours before. Imagine the ultimate, now you see it, now you don't, magic trick, but with actual homes. It wasn't just about moving. It was about vanishing and reappearing, leaving minimal trace on the landscape. You carefully roll up the large felt sheets, binding them tightly with leather straps. These will provide crucial insulation at your next camp. The wooden poles, which form the ribs of the roof, are stacked neatly. Each piece is designed to interlock, like a giant, sturdy erector set. You can almost feel the chill of the morning air seeping into the now exposed interior of your dwelling. A gentle reminder that this temporary void will soon be filled by open sky. With the dwelling neatly bundled, your attention shifts to the pack animals. These aren't just beasts of burden. They're integral members of the community, often more valuable than any possession. Depending on the region, you might be working with horses, camels, yaks, or even sturdy donkeys. For many nomadic cultures, particularly those in the steppes of Central Asia, the horse was not just transportation but a way of life, a source of food, and a companion. You approach your family's assigned animals, perhaps a pair of shaggy, strong horses, their breath misting in the cool air. They stand patiently, accustomed to this routine, their large eyes watching you with a quiet intelligence. The process of loading is an art form in itself. It's not about simply piling things on. Every bundle must be balanced perfectly to prevent chafing, shifting, or injury to the animal during the journey. You begin with the larger, heavier bundles, the rolled-up felt walls, the long wooden poles. These are strapped securely to custom-made saddles or wooden frames designed to distribute weight evenly across the animal's back. Imagine trying to strap your washing machine to a pony. It requires a deep understanding of animal anatomy and a surprising amount of engineering intuition. Mainstream historical fact: the invention of effective horse saddles and stirrups by nomadic peoples revolutionized warfare and travel across Eurasia. You work methodically, checking the tension of the ropes, adjusting a bundle slightly to the left, then to the right. A loose strap could mean a painful sore for the animal, or worse, a shifting load that throws the animal off balance on rough terrain. You've seen it happen. No one wants to be the person whose load comes crashing down in the middle of a river crossing. There's a quiet pride in your efficiency. Your family's animals are always well loaded, a testament to your skill. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic groups would even sing specific songs while loading their animals, believing the rhythm helped the beasts maintain a steady pace and good spirits. Imagine singing to your camel as you pack up. Maybe it worked, maybe it just made the long days a little more bearable. Historians still argue whether the domestication of different pack animals occurred independently in various regions or spread from a single origin point. But for you, these animals are companions and co-workers. They are the engine of your mobility. You pat the flank of your lead horse, feeling the warmth of its hide through your fingers. It snorts softly, a plume of vapor in the crisp air. The smaller bundles, lighter and more fragile items like cooking pots, water skins, and personal effects, are carefully secured on top or tucked into woven baskets that hang from the animal's sides. Every inch of space is utilized. There's no such thing as an empty pack animal. You're packing for a moving feast, a moving home, a moving life. It's a delicate balance, a testament to centuries of accumulated wisdom, passed down through quiet observation and practical application. While the adults are busy with the weighty task of packing the dwelling and loading the animals, the children and the elderly have their own unique roles in this nomadic ballet. You watch as your own children, even the youngest, instinctively gather their few toys, perhaps a carved wooden animal or a doll made from felt scraps. They understand the routine. There's no whining or complaining. It's simply the way life is. For the little ones, this constant movement is their normal. Their playground shifts. Their horizons expand with every new camp. It's a childhood filled with endless exploration, far different from the static world many of us know. The very young, infants and toddlers, are secured in specialized carriers, often designed to keep them warm and safe during the journey. These might be woven baskets lined with soft furs, carried on an animal's back, or slung comfortably over a parent's shoulder. Imagine trying to explain to a modern parent that their baby's car seat for the day is a camel. Yet, these designs were the culmination of generations of practical innovation, ensuring the most vulnerable members of the community were protected from the elements and the bumps of the trail. Mainstream historical fact: many nomadic cultures had remarkably low infant mortality rates compared to settled agricultural societies of the same era, partly due to constant mobility away from accumulated waste and disease. The elders, revered for their wisdom and experience, also play a crucial part. While they might not be hauling heavy bundles, their knowledge is invaluable. They might walk alongside the younger generation, guiding the animals, or they might ride comfortably on specially prepared mounts, perhaps a slow, steady camel, allowing them to conserve energy. They are the living libraries of the tribe, holding the oral histories, the knowledge of migration routes, water sources, and traditional remedies. Historians still argue whether the veneration of elders in nomadic societies was primarily due to their wisdom or their vital role in preserving cultural memory in the absence of written records. But for you, their presence is a comforting anchor in a world that is always moving. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic communities even developed special litters or sleds, sometimes pulled by dogs, specifically for transporting the frail or infirm. These weren't just crude sleds, but often surprisingly comfortable, well-padded conveyances, demonstrating a deep care for every member of the tribe. Imagine a prehistoric ambulance service, complete with animal power. It speaks volumes about the communal bonds that held these societies together. You see your grandmother, her face a map of wrinkles from years under the sun, settling onto a padded saddle on one of the quieter horses. She moves slowly, deliberately, but her eyes miss nothing. She'll be watching for familiar landmarks, feeling the shift in the wind, a silent navigator observing the world as it unfolds. Her stories will keep you entertained around the fire tonight, perhaps tales of journeys even more challenging than this one. Now, let's talk about arguably the most crucial element for any journey, long or short: food and water. You can pack your tent and your grandmother, but without sustenance, your journey is literally going nowhere. For nomadic tribes, this was a constant logistical challenge, far removed from our modern reliance on refrigerators and grocery stores. Every calorie, every drop of water, had to be carefully considered and transported. Imagine planning a week-long hike where every meal you eat has to be carried on your back, then multiply that by an entire community. Water, of course, was paramount. You carry it in specially treated animal skins, typically leather or goat skin, which keep the precious liquid cool and prevent spoilage. You learn from a young age how to distinguish between potable water sources and those that might carry illness. Your elders have maps in their minds, etched by generations of travel, marking every spring, every oasis, every seasonal riverbed. Mainstream historical fact: many ancient nomadic trade routes were dictated as much by reliable water sources as by economic opportunity. You wouldn't set off across a desert just hoping for a mirage. As for food, it's all about portability and preservation. Dried meats, like jerky, are a staple, offering high protein and long shelf life. You might also carry dried fruits, nuts, and perhaps some hardy grains or seeds. If you're a pastoral nomad, relying on your herds, then milk and cheese, often fermented or dried into hard curds, are also essential. Imagine a cheese so hard you have to chip away at it with a knife, but it lasts for months. That's nomadic power food. There's no fresh produce here, no delicate salads. This is survival food, designed for endurance, not gourmet dining. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic groups, particularly those in extremely cold climates, would even carry blocks of frozen meat or blood, which served as both food and a source of hydration when melted. Talk about a chilly snack. Historians still argue whether certain early preservation techniques, like smoking meat, developed independently in nomadic cultures or were introduced through interaction with settled communities. But for you, it's simply about making sure there's enough to keep everyone moving. You check your own water skin, feeling its reassuring weight against your side. It's not just about today's journey. It's about the next few days until you reach the next known water source. Every decision about what to carry, how much to consume, is weighted with the collective survival of the tribe. You might exchange a piece of dried meat with a neighbor or share a handful of nuts. There's a quiet understanding that everyone relies on everyone else. It's a very different relationship with food than popping into a drive-thru. Here, food is life, carefully managed, deeply respected. With the camp packed and the animals loaded, the next, often silent, discussion turns to route planning. You might think that for nomadic tribes, it was just a case of wandering aimlessly, following a herd or the whim of the wind. But nothing could be further from the truth. Their migrations were meticulously planned, based on generations of accumulated knowledge, keen observation of the environment, and an almost intuitive understanding of the land. There are no Google Maps here, no GPS coordinates to punch in. Your map is the sky, the land, and the stories of your ancestors. You remember the conversations around the fire last night. The elders, those living libraries of lore, would have discussed the recent rainfall, the health of the grazing lands and potential destinations, the movement of game animals, and even the likely weather patterns for the coming days. Is the river crossing safe at this time of year? Are there any rival tribes known to be in the area? These are all factors that influence the chosen path. Mainstream historical fact: many of the world's oldest trade routes, like sections of the Silk Road, actually originated as nomadic migration paths, linking disparate regions long before empires formalized them. The lead elder, or perhaps a designated pathfinder, will already have a general direction in mind. They're not just looking at the immediate terrain, they're envisioning the landscape days, even weeks, ahead. They'll know where the best pastures are, where the reliable water sources lie, and where shelter can be found if a sudden storm descends. It's an incredibly complex mental calculation, constantly updated with every cloud formation, every rustle of the leaves. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic groups were so adept at reading the subtle signs of nature that they could predict significant weather changes days in advance, allowing them to choose routes that avoided blizzards or flash floods. Imagine being able to forecast weather better than your phone, just by looking at the clouds and feeling the air. Historians still argue whether early nomadic navigation relied more on landmark recognition or celestial observation, but it's likely a sophisticated blend of both. You might notice the pathfinder occasionally pausing, gazing at a distant mountain peak, or checking the position of the sun against a known rock formation. They're calibrating, ensuring the entire moving village stays on course. The path might not always be straight. Sometimes, a detour for a better grazing spot, or to avoid a tricky patch of terrain, is the smarter, more energy-efficient choice. It's about working with the land, not against it. You feel the anticipation build. The chosen route, though unseen by you on any physical map, is clear in the collective mind of the tribe, a shared mental journey that binds everyone together. Finally, the moment arrives. The first light of dawn has fully broken, painting the landscape in soft hues. A signal is given, perhaps a quiet call from the lead elder, or the sound of a particular drumbeat. And then, the entire village begins to move. It's not a sudden, chaotic rush, but a slow, deliberate unfolding. You fall into your accustomed place within the moving column, perhaps walking alongside the pack animals or tending to the younger children. The pace is steady, a rhythmic shuffle that can be maintained for hours. This isn't a race, it's an endurance test, a marathon of gentle persuasion. You notice the smaller details as you move. The way the dew glistens on the grass blades, each one a tiny jewel. The scent of wild herbs crushed underfoot, the distant call of a bird. You become acutely aware of your surroundings, every subtle shift in the terrain, every whisper of the wind. This isn't a passive journey, it's an immersive experience. Your senses are heightened, attuned to the rhythm of the earth beneath your feet and the vast sky above. Mainstream historical fact: many nomadic groups developed incredible stamina and physical resilience due to their constant movement, allowing them to cover vast distances that would exhaust a modern person. The sound of the moving village is a unique symphony. The soft padded thud of animal hooves, the creak of leather, the occasional jingle of a bell tied to a lead animal. You might hear the low hum of a lullaby being sung to a child, or the quiet murmur of conversation between family members. There's a companionable silence, too, moments where everyone simply walks, lost in their own thoughts, yet deeply connected by the shared purpose. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic groups would even use specific types of bells on their lead animals, with unique tones, so that a lost member of the group could follow the sound back to the main column even in fog or darkness. Imagine your entire village having a theme song, played by bells. Historians still argue whether the concept of a moving city truly captures the essence of these migrations, or if it was more akin to a series of temporary camps. But for you, it feels like both. You are a moving city, a self-contained world on the move. You look back briefly, seeing the faint impression of where your camp once stood, now just a few flattened patches of grass and the lingering scent of smoke. Soon, the wind will erase even that. There's a gentle melancholy in leaving a place, but also an excitement for the new horizons ahead. The sun climbs higher, casting long shadows before you. Each step takes you further from what was, and closer to what will be. Despite all the careful planning and practiced movements, the journey is never without its challenges on the trail. Nature, as you well know, rarely adheres to a schedule or a pre-approved itinerary. You're not just walking, you're navigating a dynamic, unpredictable world. The ground beneath your feet can shift from firm earth to boggy marsh without warning, or turn into treacherous loose scree on a hillside. You might encounter a sudden, unseasonal downpour that turns the dry riverbed you plan to cross into a raging torrent. Imagine trying to get your entire house, along with your pets, across a flash flood. Not ideal. One moment, the path might be clear and relatively flat. The next, you're scrambling over rocky outcrops or pushing through dense undergrowth. Animals, despite their training, can be unpredictable too. A pack horse might stumble. A camel could decide it's had enough of carrying your prized cooking pot, requiring a swift rebalancing of its load. These aren't minor inconveniences. They're potential setbacks that could delay the entire tribe, putting everyone at risk if nightfall approaches unexpectedly or if a vital water source is missed. Mainstream historical fact: many nomadic migrations were tragically cut short by unforeseen natural disasters, from blizzards to droughts, highlighting the constant precariousness of their existence. You might encounter unexpected wildlife, a startled herd of antelope that spooks your animals, or the subtle, chilling sign of a predator in the distance. Every rustle in the bushes, every shadow stretching across the landscape, demands attention. Your senses are constantly on high alert, even as your body settles into the rhythm of walking. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic groups developed specific calls or whistle patterns to communicate across vast distances during the journey, alerting others to dangers or changes in the terrain without needing to break the steady pace of the column. Imagine your family having a secret code of whistles to warn you about a grumpy yak. Historians still argue whether early nomadic societies placed greater emphasis on individual survival skills or collective group resilience in overcoming these challenges. But for you, it's clearly both. You rely on your own strength and knowledge, but also on the quick reactions and cooperation of your fellow travelers. You see your uncle, a seasoned tracker, pause to examine a set of fresh animal tracks, his brow furrowed in concentration. Is it a lone wanderer or something more? The subtle shift in his posture tells you something important is being considered. These aren't just walks in the park. They're ongoing tests of adaptability and communal strength. Every challenge overcome makes the arrival at the next camp feel even more earned. As the village snakes its way across the landscape, you realize that this grand migration isn't just a haphazard collection of individuals. It's a meticulously organized collective, with very specific community roles for everyone. Each family, and indeed each individual within that family, knows their place and their responsibilities. This division of labor isn't about rigid hierarchies in the modern sense. It's about efficient survival, ensuring that the whole operation runs as smoothly as possible. Imagine your office, but if everyone had to physically move the entire building every few weeks, you'd quickly figure out who was good at what. The youngest children, perhaps, are tasked with keeping track of smaller livestock, like goats or sheep, guiding them along the fringes of the main column. They learn responsibility from an incredibly early age, their keen eyes spotting a stray lamb before it wanders too far. The older children might help with lighter loads, carrying water skins or tending to younger siblings who are riding on pack animals. Their contribution, though seemingly small, is vital to the overall flow. Mainstream historical fact: the clear division of labor by age and gender was a hallmark of many traditional nomadic societies, optimizing efficiency in resource-intensive activities like migration. The women often take responsibility for the family's domestic goods, ensuring that cooking implements, textiles, and personal effects are properly packed and secured. They might also be responsible for gathering wild edibles along the way, supplementing the dried provisions. Their knowledge of local plants and their uses is often encyclopedic, a skill passed down through generations. The men, meanwhile, might focus on managing the larger pack animals, scouting ahead for obstacles, or providing protection for the moving column. They are the eyes and ears, constantly vigilant. A quirky tidbit: in some nomadic cultures, specific families or clans specialized in certain skills. One might be known for their superior knowledge of horse breeding, another for their expertise in metalworking, even if carried out only seasonally. Imagine having the master tent assemblers family or the expert water diviners clan. Historians still argue whether these specialized roles evolved organically within tribes or were influenced by intertribal trade and cooperation. But for you, it's simply the way things are. You know you can rely on the blacksmith's family to quickly repair a broken tool at the next camp, just as they rely on your family's expertise in tracking. It's a beautiful, intricate web of interdependence, where every thread, every person, is essential to the strength of the whole. The sun climbs high, reaching its zenith, and the air grows warmer. After hours of steady progress, a welcome signal ripples through the moving column. It's time for the midday stop. This isn't a long, leisurely break. It's a strategic pause, essential for resting the animals, refreshing the people, and making any necessary adjustments before continuing the journey. You steer your pack horse towards a small copse of trees, or perhaps a rise offering a gentle breeze and a good vantage point. There's a collective sigh of relief, even if it's an unspoken one. Animals are unburdened slightly, their loads loosened to allow them to stretch and breathe. They might be given a small amount of fodder if available, or simply allowed to graze on whatever sparse vegetation the land offers. You take the opportunity to check their hooves, making sure no stones are lodged or that no straps have chafed their skin. Mainstream historical fact: proper care of pack animals was paramount for nomadic survival, as their health directly impacted the tribe's ability to move and sustain itself. A lame horse or camel could spell disaster. For the people, it's a quick chance to rehydrate and eat a small, energy-sustaining meal. You pull out your water skin, taking a long, satisfying drink of the cool liquid. Then, a piece of dried meat or a handful of nuts is all you need. There's no fire built, no elaborate cooking. This is grab and go in the most ancient sense. You might find a smooth rock to sit on, or simply lean against a tree, closing your eyes for a brief moment of quiet respite. The sounds of the moving village soften into a gentle hum of activity. It's a very different kind of break than your typical lunch hour. No scrolling through your phone, just pure, unadulterated rest. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic groups would even use these midday stops for quick, impromptu lessons for the children, perhaps teaching them about local flora and fauna, or practicing traditional songs and stories. Imagine your school classroom suddenly popping up in the middle of a field. Historians still argue whether the concept of formal education, as we understand it, existed in these fleeting moments, or if it was simply an organic part of daily life. But what is certain is that every moment was an opportunity for learning and transmission of culture. You might see an elder pointing out a distant cloud formation to a young boy, explaining how it foretells a change in the wind, subtly imparting centuries of weather wisdom. The gentle breeze rustles through the leaves above you. You feel your muscles begin to loosen, the fatigue momentarily easing. But the thought of the destination, the new camp, keeps you from truly drifting off. You know this rest is just a pause before the next push. As the sun begins its slow descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, a new sense of purpose invigorates the column. The evening arrival. The pathfinder, perhaps sensing the shift in light and the subtle changes in the wind, will have already begun scouting for the ideal location for tonight's camp. This isn't just about finding a flat spot. It's about assessing factors crucial for the tribe's safety and comfort. Proximity to a reliable water source, access to grazing land for the animals, natural shelter from wind or potential predators, and even the quality of the ground for pitching the dwellings. Imagine trying to find a perfectly flat, safe, and convenient spot to pitch 20 tents in the middle of nowhere every single night. The chosen site, once identified, quickly becomes a flurry of organized activity. The lead animals are guided to a specific area, and the process of unloading begins immediately. You untie the bundles from your pack horse, feeling the familiar heft of the rolled-up felt and the wooden poles. There's a silent, almost telepathic coordination amongst the families. Everyone knows where their dwelling will go, often in a traditional arrangement that has been used for generations, forming a protective circle or crescent. Mainstream historical fact: many nomadic camps were arranged in specific patterns, often circular, to provide defense, facilitate communal interaction, and reflect social structures. The sounds of the moving village transform into the sounds of a settling village. The rhythmic thud of mallets driving in tent pegs, the soft rustle of felt being unfurled, the lowing of animals as they are unburdened. You might hear the laughter of children, freed from the constraints of the trail, scampering to explore their new, temporary home. The urgency of the journey gives way to the anticipation of rest. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic groups would designate a storytelling rock or a council tree at each new camp, a natural landmark that immediately became a focal point for communal gatherings and oral traditions. Imagine knowing, wherever you stop, there's a designated spot for evening tales. Historians still argue whether the selection of campsites was primarily driven by pragmatic needs or by spiritual significance attached to certain landscapes. But for you, it's a blend. You appreciate the practicalities, the fresh water, the good grazing, but you also feel a quiet reverence for the beauty of the chosen spot, knowing it will cradle your dreams tonight. The air cools quickly as the last vestiges of daylight fade. The first thin wisps of smoke begin to curl upwards from where the cooking fires will soon be lit. You look around, and in what feels like mere moments, a bare patch of earth has transformed, once again, into a vibrant, living village. No sooner are the pack animals relieved of their burdens than the incredible process of rebuilding homes begins. This isn't just camping. It's reestablishing a fully functional living space, and it happens with astonishing speed and coordination. You grab the rolled-up felt and the bundles of wooden poles that moments ago were your home. Your family members are already moving with practiced efficiency, each knowing exactly what to do. There's no bickering about who does what. Everyone has a role, honed by countless previous setups. The first step is laying out the base of the dwelling, the circular wooden lattice that forms the walls. This is the skeleton upon which everything else is built. You work quickly, snapping the prefabricated sections together, the joints fitting snugly. It's like a giant, comfortable jigsaw puzzle you've assembled 100 times before. Mainstream historical fact: the design of many nomadic dwellings, such as the yurt, was incredibly efficient, allowing for rapid assembly and disassembly without the need for complex tools or multiple specialized builders. Once the walls are up, the roof poles are slotted into place, converging at the central smoke hole ring. Then comes the crucial insulation, layers of thick felt, carefully unrolled and draped over the wooden framework. These felt layers aren't just for warmth. They also provide excellent sound dampening, creating a cozy, quiet interior. Imagine having a home that can go from flat pack to fully insulated in under an hour. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic groups would decorate their felt coverings with intricate patterns or symbols, making each dwelling subtly unique even amidst the uniformity of the camp. It was a way to express identity, even when your home was constantly on the move. Historians still argue whether these decorative patterns had deeper spiritual meanings or were primarily aesthetic. As the structure takes shape, the interior furnishings are brought in. The felt rugs are unrolled, instantly transforming the bare earth floor into a soft, inviting surface. Your sleeping mats are laid out, your small chests placed in their familiar spots. The fire pit, a simple circle of stones, is prepared in the center, ready for the evening's meal. The transformation is almost magical. Where minutes ago there was an empty patch of ground, now stands a warm, inviting home, ready to shelter your family from the cooling night air. The air inside is instantly warmer, holding the day's residual heat. You light a small oil lamp, and its gentle flicker dances across the felt walls, casting long, peaceful shadows. As twilight deepens, the familiar comforts of the newly established camp begin to emerge, ushering in the nightfall rituals. The crackle of small fires, now safely contained within each dwelling, casts a warm, inviting glow through the felt walls. The scent of cooking food, simple but hearty, begins to fill the air, perhaps a stew simmering over the coals or flatbread baking on a hot stone. This is the reward for a day of hard labor, a time for the tribe to come together, even if loosely, and unwind. You gather with your family around the central fire pit in your yurt. The warmth is immediate, chasing away the lingering chill of the evening. The flickering light dances on the faces of your loved ones. This is where the day's stories are shared, the small triumphs of the journey recounted, and worries gently voiced. There's no television, no glowing screens. Your entertainment is the rich tapestry of oral tradition, passed down through generations. Mainstream historical fact: storytelling played a vital role in nomadic cultures, serving as a primary means of education, entertainment, and the preservation of history and identity. Perhaps your grandmother begins a tale, her voice soft and rhythmic, drawing everyone into a world of ancient heroes and mythical creatures. Or your father might recount a humorous anecdote from the day's travel, prompting soft chuckles. The laughter is gentle, designed not to disturb the peace of the night. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic groups had specific evening songs or chants designed to soothe children to sleep, believing the rhythms connected them to the pulse of the earth. Imagine a lullaby that also subtly taught you the names of stars. Historians still argue whether these nighttime rituals were primarily for social bonding or had deeper spiritual or protective significance. You watch the embers glow, feeling the deep sense of contentment that comes after physical exertion and the security of your temporary home. The sounds of the camp outside are muted now, a gentle murmur of voices, the soft nuzzle of a resting animal, the distant hoot of an owl. You feel the fatigue settling deep in your bones, a pleasant weariness. This stillness, after a day of constant motion, is a cherished gift. As the stories wind down, and the last of the food is eaten, you prepare for sleep. You arrange your sleeping mat, pull your thick blankets close, and listen to the soft breathing of your family around you. The world outside the felt walls feels vast and silent, but inside, you are safe, warm, and utterly at peace. You might wonder, after all this effort of packing and unpacking, of constantly being on the move, why move? Why embrace a life of perpetual motion when settling down, building a permanent home, seems so much simpler? For nomadic tribes, the reasons were multifaceted, deeply intertwined with survival, resources, and often cultural identity. It wasn't just a lifestyle choice in the way you might choose a new hobby, it was an imperative. One of the primary drivers, a mainstream historical fact, was resource availability. Whether you were a hunter-gatherer following migrating herds, or a pastoral nomad seeking fresh pastures for your livestock, moving was essential to prevent overexploitation of any single area. Staying in one place would quickly deplete local game, exhaust grazing lands, or contaminate water sources. Imagine trying to feed an entire village from the same small patch of land year after year. It's simply unsustainable. So, the land itself dictated the rhythm of your life, pulling you onwards. Then there's the climate. In many regions, seasonal changes made permanent settlement impractical or even impossible. Harsh winters might force a move to warmer lowlands, while scorching summers could drive you to higher altitudes where water was more plentiful. Your very survival depended on your ability to adapt to these shifts, to follow the ebb and flow of the seasons. It's a very physical relationship with the weather, not just checking an app on your phone. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic groups, particularly those in the desert, would deliberately choose routes that allowed them to avoid specific insect seasons, knowing that swarms of biting flies or mosquitoes could make life unbearable for both humans and animals. Imagine planning your entire year's movement around mosquito season. It adds a whole new layer to pest control. Historians still argue whether the initial impetus for nomadism was primarily environmental necessity or a deeply ingrained cultural preference for a mobile way of life. Beyond the purely practical, there could also be social and cultural reasons. Perhaps avoiding conflict with rival tribes, or maintaining trade relationships with different settled communities along established routes. The movement itself became part of your identity, shaping your traditions, your stories, and your worldview. You are not bound by walls or fences. Your home is wherever your tribe is, wherever your animals graze. This fluidity offers a different kind of freedom, a connection to the vastness of the land that settled peoples might never experience. For you, the answer to why move is simple. It is life itself. It's the breath in your lungs, the rhythm of your heart, the very essence of who you are. As the night deepens and the camp settles into a quiet hum, you reflect on the enduring legacy of this way of life. The story of nomadic tribes isn't just a historical footnote. It's a testament to human ingenuity, resilience, and an incredible ability to adapt. Their way of life, though seemingly arduous, offered freedoms and connections to the natural world that are almost unfathomable in our static, built environments. The lessons learned by these ancient movers and shakers still echo in our modern world, often in surprising ways. Consider the very concept of mobility. While we now use cars, trains, and planes, the underlying principle of efficient transport, of packing light and moving purposefully, has its roots in nomadic practices. Even your modern tent, designed for backpacking, owes a debt to the lightweight, easily assembled structures perfected over millennia by mobile peoples. Mainstream historical fact: many foundational innovations in transportation, from the use of horses for riding to the development of early wheeled vehicles, were either pioneered or significantly advanced by nomadic cultures. Their understanding of resource management was also profound. Living intimately with the land, they intuitively practiced rotation and sustainability, ensuring that their movements replenished the earth rather than depleting it. It's a lesson our industrialized societies are still desperately trying to relearn. Imagine if every time we moved, we left the land better than we found it. A quirky tidbit: some nomadic groups would even carry seeds of beneficial plants with them, inadvertently spreading them along their migration routes, essentially acting as ancient ecological engineers. Historians still argue whether this was a conscious act of environmental stewardship or an unintentional consequence of their movements. And then there's the cultural impact. The Silk Road, that ancient superhighway of goods and ideas, was crisscrossed by nomadic traders, connecting east and west, facilitating the exchange of everything from spices to philosophies. Their journeys weren't just about survival. They were conduits of culture, inadvertently shaping civilizations far beyond their immediate reach. The art of felt making, the intricate patterns on textiles, the very concept of a portable home, these are all parts of their lasting contribution. As you drift closer to sleep, you recognize that the nomadic spirit isn't entirely lost. It lives on in the part of us that yearns for open roads, that feels a pull to explore, to see what lies beyond the horizon. It's in the quiet hum of a road trip, the anticipation of a new city, the comfort of a well-packed bag. They taught us how to move, how to adapt, and how to find home not just in a place, but in the journey itself. The fire in your yurt has dwindled to glowing embers, casting a soft, warm light that dances gently on the felt walls. Outside, the night is deep and quiet, punctuated only by the occasional distant call of a night creature or the soft sigh of the wind. The sounds of the camp have faded into a gentle, rhythmic stillness. You are warm, safe, and profoundly at peace. Your body, weary from the day's journey, sinks deeper into the soft sleeping mat. The air is cool and fresh, carrying the faint, comforting scent of damp earth and distant wood smoke. You close your eyes, and the final images of the day drift through your mind. The vastness of the sky, the steady rhythm of walking, the quiet, collective effort of your tribe. There's a profound sense of security in knowing that you are part of something ancient, something that has endured through countless movements, across countless landscapes. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your breath, slow and even. Let the subtle sounds around you become part of the quietude. Your mind, too, is beginning to slow, thoughts becoming hazy, indistinct. You are safe, you are warm, and the journey is complete. Rest now, with the knowledge that you have walked in the footsteps of ancient wanderers, experienced a slice of their remarkable lives. Let their quiet resilience guide you into the deepest, most peaceful sleep.